Good evening. My name is Jason Hardebeck. I'm with GBTC, and we're doing a failure conference on April 20th, so I figure if I totally blow this, I got a great talk in a couple months. So I want to talk a little bit about socialism. So socialism is this idea that you have a couple really bright people that can make rules for a larger mass of people, and social networks are kind of set up in the same idea. It turns out that the Navy has a nuclear power program that works in kind of the same way. So Navy's been in business of nuclear power for about 60 years, and we've figured out how to design and operate nuclear reactors safely and efficiently. And we've done that because we've taken this top-down approach of a command and control where you have very rigid rules, but you also have very solid fail-safe designs and highly skilled, highly trained operators, and that's pretty important. And so when we talk about nuclear fission, because I know that's everybody's favorite topic, certainly is mine, what we're really talking about is a social network for uranium atoms. Now, uranium atoms like to hook up, they like to connect and friend and tweet and do all these kinds of things that social networks do, and they create a lot of energy, and that energy can be harnessed. But first, the design of this reactor needs this critical mass of users and then a moderator. The moderator is what fits around this critical mass, and what it does is it basically slows down all this activity and reflects that activity back into the core. That's how you create this ongoing reaction, this what is called achieving criticality. It's good for reactors, and it's actually good for a healthy social network. Now, with nuclear power, you actually have some significant risks associated with exposure to radiation. So you can either limit your exposure by time, distance, or you create physical barriers, shields. And the shielding is what protects that exposure over large amount of time. Now, when you build a reactor, you build a lot of redundant multiple systems, all designed to protect the worst case scenario and minimize the chance of releasing this radiation to the environment. But you also build systems that allow those human operators to take control and do something about stopping an unsafe condition and returning a reactor to a safe condition. Ultimately, you use physics. And so physics is a way of controlling a reactor. This didn't turn out. This is actually a Greek formula for the negative temperature coefficient of reactivity, and basically what that means is the reactor fails into a safe mode. If the temperature goes way up, the reaction tends to go way down. You can actually build a reactor with a positive coefficient of reactivity. The last one we tried is called Chernobyl. Happens to be in a socialist country. I don't know if there's a connection, but you be the judge. So what does this have to do with social networks? I mean, let's be realistic, right? We're talking nuclear power. We're not talking something dangerous, right? I mean, with social networks, this is my LinkedIn network. You have thousands and thousands of connections. You've told thousands of people where you like to go to dinner, where your kids hang out and go to school, where you go to on vacation. You share a lot of information. You know, it's got to be safe, right? It's pretty benign. It happens to be out in the public, and it's all readily accessible. But you know what? That's still okay, right? I mean, what else could you do with this information? Well, it turns out that these start to look a lot like nuclear reactions, and these some very smart people at the top of the food chain that are making these decisions on how to handle this information safely. And I know these guys are really interested in the protection, this social reactor that they're building walls around and the shielding to make sure that everything's taken care of, right? I mean, because of course, we don't have the luxury of these highly trained, skilled operators for social networks. When you have 13-year-old kids signing up for social networking, that system better be able to fail safe, because that kid certainly isn't, and there's a lot of adults that fit the same category. Well, it turns out that that's not the case. That actually, in the past 5 years, the level of default privacy levels has actually increased, has gotten more open. Essentially, we've stripped away a lot of the lead from around that social core and have exposed more and more of that social radiation. At the same time, the activity level, the reactivity of this social reaction has increased. So essentially, what a nuclear power engineer would say is, you've got an unplanned power excursion. Bad things happen. So the turn of last century, humanity was just figuring out that the atom could do great things for medicine and for power generation, but we didn't understand the repercussions. we learned some very hard, expensive lessons in terms of money and human cost. And so we're at a point now where we have that same opportunity to learn from the past, or we can continue to trust a few select individuals, and hopefully we avoid a social Chernobyl. Thank you.